Gemma, hello. Thank you so much for being with us. Look, I'm really interested to know, just specifically from NAB's perspective, what have you been seeing in terms of volumes and numbers of people actually, coming onto your platform? Because some of these numbers are quite staggering.
Yeah, so at nabtrade, it's been absolutely fascinating. It's been quite fun putting the data together to talk to you guys. So we've seen a doubling in volumes from 29th of Feb through to the beginning of April. So double volumes. What's most fascinating, and I love this, is that there's a general assumption that retail investors don't make the wisest decisions when it comes to market volatility. They tend to panic when markets fall heavily and sell out. They tend to buy at the top. There's a bit of a sort of a myth about this. It's the exact opposite of what we've been seeing over the last month. So we've had huge numbers of people coming to market for the first time. We've had a 5-fold increase in new account openings, which is amazing. We've had cash at record levels, and yet 75% of our volume has been buys. So we've had people buying in as the market's been falling. They've been taking the opportunity to top up their favorite positions, and plenty more people wanting to buy for the first time.
That's fascinating. So you're not seeing any panic selling. What are they buying into?
So they're mostly buying stuff they love. They're quite traditional stocks that they're buying. So we're seeing very heavy buying in banks. We've seen a lot of buying in BHP. Qantas has made the top 10 for the first time, so that's very interesting. People are obviously fairly confident that there'll be some perhaps government support for that. Woodside and Santos have had a lot of support, so people will be very happy about that today. The people have been buying in over the last week or two. So we've seen all of those stocks that are fairly traditionally held in our portfolios continuing to get support on the way down, people feeling that those companies are going to still be around in a year's time and that they're going to be very glad that they bought something that used to be $28 at 14 and it'll still be there. So there's been a lot of enthusiasm for those sorts of companies. We've seen really aggressive trading in stuff that's had a lot more daily volatility. So something like Afterpay, Fortescue Metals, that sort of stuff, that's more active trading. We're seeing people move in and out. And then the one that's most surprising to me has been CSL. So CSL is very interesting in the base. It's only held by 10% of our investors, which, given it's now Australia's biggest company, if you bought it at the beginning of last year, you're still doing super well. Those investors, we're seeing quite a bit of selling at the top end. We've got some very heavy holders, people who have, multi-million-dollar holdings just of CSL, and then a lot of aggressive buying at the bottom end. So we're seeing a lot of people with small buys, big sells in CSL at the moment.
Gemma, what about ETFs? I'm interested in people trying to get exposure to certain markets. I know we had the guys from Beta Shares in here through the week saying that one of their bear ETFs, the volumes in those were huge. What are you seeing across the board?
Yeah, so we've seen exactly that. The Beta Shares 3 bear ETFs, their volumes increased 20-fold over the last week, which is simply astonishing. We've never seen anything like that. That it seems to be trading. So it's people taking very active short-term positions because they think that there's going to be another massive daily movement. We're talking, volatility of, upwards and down 7% a day, that kind of stuff. People aggressively trying to take advantage of that both in Australia and in the US. So we've seen that 20-fold increase in the bear ETFs, which is mind-blowing. But the number one ETF still for us is ASX 200. So it's still people buying long and wanting to hold it.
Okay. So in terms of questions that you're getting through your website from people, what are they taking? What are they looking for direction on?
It's quite interesting to see what people are doing. So there's this real dispersion between investors who are wanting really short-term trading opportunities and others who are seeing this as just an opportunity to pick up stuff they've wanted for a long time at a cheaper price. One thing we're getting a lot of questions about is international movements, how to get long exposure to some of the international opportunities they might have been holding off from, but they're a bit concerned about the currency movement, so they're struggling with that. So we've seen a bit of buying in hedged international ETFs and so on. International volumes themselves have actually doubled, which is amazing. So you can buy US, UK, Germany and Hong Kong directly through the platform. You've got to be online overnight because it's only during the market open hours. And we've seen people buying Berkshire Hathaway. We've seen them buying Apple and Tesla and so on. There's some very contrarian buying going on. So we've been seeing some buying in Carnival Cruises and in Royal Caribbean.
Brave. Someone's brave.
Blimey.
I personally wouldn't be going on a cruise, but apparently people believe that somebody will be in the future. So we've seen some buying in those and buying in airlines as well. So we're getting these questions about how do I get exposure to this stuff that's been absolutely destroyed for very good reason, and is that the kind of thing I want to be holding long term when things turn around?
I'm interested, Gemma, like part of your role is to look at, I suppose, the psychology behind what people are doing. What's your sense? I mean, the number and the scale of people buying in is quite extraordinary. What do you think's going on in people's heads, apart from just looking for a bargain? Because, you know, we know that this is not over. It's not like just a small dip. No one really knows when this is going to end. So why are people so active at the moment?
I think there's two pieces to it. One thing that I should note is our cash balances have been climbing for 5 years. They're like climbing really dramatically. There's a trading account and a high interest account. High interest is a conceptual thing now. I'm talking about high interest. So we see all of this cash coming in, and even with this really aggressive buying, double the volume, huge swing to the buys, where there was quite a bit of profit taking a couple of months ago, people are still bringing cash in. So our cash balances haven't dropped even though they're buying. They're bringing money from somewhere. So they still have a lot of dry powder waiting for more opportunities. It seems opportunistic on the way down, but given the amount of cash that's just sitting there, you can just assume that plenty of people think there's further for this to go. People are not all in, not even close, right? They actually have more cash sitting there than they had a month ago. That's really surprising given the volume of buying we've seen.
Well, certainly a bit of trivia out today. The number of $100 notes in circulation, which is Australia's most held currency, a $100 note, rose 3.4% in March to record levels. So people, Gemma, are holding that cash either in a bank account or sticking it in $100 notes under their mattress at the moment.
There's another little piece of data that I saw just before I came on. So one new buy we've seen internationally has been Zoom, which would not surprise anybody, right? My son, who's 6, was doing a Zoom meeting with his friends just a minute ago. They had 10 million active daily participants in December. They had 200 million in March.
Wow. But I loved it earlier in the week. They had to suspend in the US a company called, I think, Zoom Technologies, which had nothing to do with Zoom Innovations, which is the Zoom, because everyone's ploughing into the wrong stock. I loved it.
Yeah, there was a little bit of research you had to do on that one just to make sure that you went and bought the thing that's exactly what you wanted.
Like Googling a stock code.
Yeah,
not hard.
exactly.
Anyway, Gemma, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. Good to see you.
Thanks, guys.